What would happen if death stopped being silent and finally spoke back? Well, welcome back to the Coachman. And for today's reading, we're going to be heading over to Romania. And other than reading something romantic, we're going to be reading probably something quite ironic to it. And it's going to be the story, The Voice of Death. And it's a Romanian folktale. And I would say this, it's not necessarily about death itself. It's just more about mortality. And I think that, I don't know. I know we've been getting into a lot of dark, kind of underwhelming, if you want to, or you know what, taboo, if people want to say topics and whatever. But like I said last time, you kind of need one without the other. Light to dark, good to bad. You know what I mean? And so I think if you take this story into that concept, it might I want to say ring a little bit sweeter in the ears, if you know what I mean. So with that being said, let's get into it and hope you enjoy. Once upon a time, something happened. If it had not happened, it would not be told. There was once a man who prayed daily to God to grant him riches. That sounds like everybody in the world today. Especially broke motherfuckers. One day, his numerous and frequent prayers found our Lord in the mood to listen to all of them. When the man had grown rich, he did not want to die, so he resolved to go from country to country and settle wherever he heard that the people lived forever. He prepared for his journey, told his wife his plans, and set off. Already, think about it, what I just said. Here's a man who prayed, became rich, and then set out to go live wherever people live forever, and then said deuces to his wife. That's the way I read it. Now, granted, when it says told his wife his plan and set off, that could mean, okay, she came with him. But I'm not going to lie. When I read that, it was almost like, you know what I mean? Like that old adage, like that somebody tells, like, yeah, the last time I saw my dad, he was heading out for milk, never came back. That's what came to my head, 100%, like straight off the rip. In every country he reached, he asked whether people ever die there, and went on at once if he was told that they did. At last he arrived in a land where the inhabitants said they did not know what dying meant. The traveler, full of joy, asked, "What, are there not immense crowds of people here, if none of you died?" I like Homeboy's knowledge. I do. I really like Homeboy's knowledge. But it's almost like, in my opinion, like asking, hey, yo, are there like does anybody die here? And they say, oh well, we don't know what it means. It's almost like going to like a black person's house and like going and asking them, yo, do you know who killed this dude? What do you mean? I don't know. That's the way I look at that question. It's like, brother, you're asking a question and you're answering that shit at the same time. Like, you may not say, but I mean, seriously, you go to any, like, everybody knows, you know what I mean? Black people and snitching, that's something that's like ingrained in our culture. We don't do that shit, you know what I mean? But it's the reason I say it's the same. It's because like these people saying, "Oh, we don't know what it is." It's like, wait, we don't know what it is like you do. You know what I mean? So him asking that question, it's just like, okay, yeah, dude, they know what it is, but they just don't understand it like you. Period. No, there are no immense crowds, was the reply. For you see, every now and then somebody comes and calls one after another, and whoever follows him never returns. See? Told you. Romanians must be black. You know what I'm saying? Some people live, some people go. When it's your time, you got to go deuces. And do people see the person who calls them? Asked the traveler. Why shouldn't they see him? He he was answered. The man could not wonder enough at the stupidity of those who followed the person that called them, though they knew that they would be obliged to stay where he took them. Returning home, he collected all his property, and with his wife and children, went to settle in the country where people did not die, but were called by a certain person and never came back. He had therefore firmly resolved that neither he nor his family would ever follow anybody who called them, no matter who it might be. So, after he had established himself and arranged all his business affairs, he advised his wife and all his family on no account to follow anyone who might call them, if, as he said, they did not want to die. So they gave themselves up to pleasure, and in this way spent several years. One day, when they were all sitting comfortably in their house, his wife suddenly began to call. I'm coming, I'm coming. Okay. And she looked around the room for her fur jacket. Her husband instantly started up, seized her by the hand, and began to reproach her. So, you don't heed my advice? Stay here if you don't want to die. Don't you hear how he is calling me? I'll only see what he wants and come back at once. And she struggled to escape from her husband's grasp and go. He held her fast and managed to bolt all the doors in the room. When he saw that, she said, Let me alone, husband. I don't care about going now. How many of y'all believe that shit? Because me, I don't. The man thought she had come to her senses and given up her crazy idea. But before long, the wife rushed to the nearest door, hurriedly opened it, and ran out. Ain't gonna lie, must have been the milkman that called her. Her husband followed, holding her by her fur sack and entreating her not to go, for she would never return. She let her hands fall, bent backward, then leaned a little forward and suddenly threw herself back, slipping off her sack and leaving it in her husband's grasp, who stood stock still, staring after her as she rushed on, screaming with all her might, I'm coming, I'm coming. All right, only if they knew innuendos back in this time. When he could see her no longer, the husband collected his senses, went back to the house, and said, If you are mad and want to die, go in God's name. I can't help you. I've told you often enough that you must follow no one, no matter who called you. Days passed, many days, weeks, months, years followed, and the peace of the man's household was not disturbed again. But at last, one morning, when he went to his barber's, as usual, to be shaved, just as he had the soap on his chin, and the shop was full of people, he began to shout, I won't come, do you hear? I won't come. The barber and his customers all stared in amazement. The man, looking towards the door, said again, Take notice once and for all that I won't come, and go away from there. Afterward, he cried, Go away, do you hear it? If you want to get off with a whole skin, For I tell you 1,000 times, I won't come. Yeah, you gotta love that. I love that machismo, though. Then, as if someone was standing at the door, constantly calling him, he grew angry and raved at the person for not leaving him in peace. At last, he sprang up and snatched the razor from the barber's hand, crying, "Give it to me, that I may show him what it is to continually annoy people." All right, my man's trying to. See? I'm telling you, this person, whoever wrote this, must be black. You know what I'm saying? It's no joke. You got a wife, ran out on her husband. You know what I'm saying? You got old angry motherfucker in a barber shop. Mind you, a barber shop. Yeah? White dudes don't go to barber shops. Black people do. Yeah? And then, when he gets tested, snatches the fucking blade out of the barber's hand, ready to cut somebody. You know what I mean? See? And that's probably where they get. Snitches get stitches. So this guy won't keeps yap. All. Okay, we're gonna make you shut up, Shanice. I'm telling you, it's gravy. The barber. That's crazy, yo. And he ran at full speed after the person who, he said, was calling him, but whom nobody else could see. The poor barber, who did not want to lose his razor, followed. The man ran, the barber pursued, till they passed beyond the city limits. And just outside of town, the man fell into a chasm from which he did not come out again. So he also, like the rest, followed the voice that called him. The barber, who returned home panting for breath, told everybody he met what had happened, and so the belief spread through the country that the people who had gone away and not returned had fallen into that gulf. For until then, no one had known what became of those who followed the person that summoned them. When a throng set out to visit the scene of misfortune, to see the insatiable gulf which swallowed up all the people, and yet never had enough, nothing was found. It looked as if, since the beginning of the world, nothing had been there except a broad plain. And from that time, the population of the neighborhood began to die like the human beings in the rest of the earth. Well, I guess now we know how people meet their maker. You know what I'm saying? And also, you know what I just hit? I guess that's where they get the saying, you know what I mean, getting called home. There you go. That's how you get called home in this story. But the funny thing about it is that, like, notice how I think one of the funny things that I found out, like, reading the story, is that if you notice, right, his wife, she went willingly, all right? The gentleman, he went unwillingly. Nevertheless, still ended up in the same place, still ended up in the same fate, in the same had the same fate, you know what I mean? And, like, I think what this story is, like, where this story is trying to head off to, from what I got, and obviously I'm sure most of you came to the conclusion, is like, you know, a lot of people, especially, like, if you notice, right, how the story, the people, they didn't know what happened. They just saw somebody get called, and they went. You know what I mean? So, and then it also kind of hit on where, like I said, unwillingly went, and then, or unwillingly went. No matter what, you went. That was the gist of it. The thing about it is that if you look at it today, you know what I mean. When you look at, I look at it, like, put this in today's context, is one, the people not knowing. I think if you want to equate it today, then people just didn't know. They were like, "Oh, it's just God," or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And kind of just gave it a name. Today we give it a new name, and it's called distractions. like social media or, all these hobbies everybody's into. You know what I mean? Like we always, like, especially in today's world, we try to stay away from maybe more negative topics. But if you really look at this story, you know what I mean? There's another way of looking at it. Like the man, right? He said that he went to this new place and was enjoying it, but in the back of his head, like, stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away. But in a sense, right? Like he ran towards like this place. And he could have just literally left well enough alone, stayed where he was, and guess what? Enjoyed his family. But because he was so wealthy and he wanted to, I gotta live forever, I gotta live forever. It's like, nah, dude, just enjoy what the fuck is right in front of you. But no, it wasn't enough. I need to keep this forever. Whatever, I need to keep it going. And that's, I think, with that added little caveat, that's what this story is trying to hit on. And why it's so relevant today is because instead of people just enjoying life as it is, even the most normal and basic shit, like your morning routine, you know what I mean? If just waking up and going for a small walk, or the little moments like playing with your kids and reading a book, you know what I mean? Instead of like us glorifying everything and wanting the best of the best, if he would have just kept his ass right over there and just said, oh, you know what? I might be wealthy, but I'm going to enjoy this till the end with my family. I might die, but let's just go enjoy it. So, like, by him moving closer to death, by trying to fight it, notice you can't fight it. Whether you go or you don't want to go, it don't matter. All you should just do is just enjoy what's right here and right now. That's it. That's all. You know what I mean? So, I think what this story, in a sense, it's not really looking at death. It's it's utilizing death to say, hey, life is way more beautiful when you accept what is and stop trying to like put it like in the background and hide it. Just understand, hey, here it is. Let's go with it, but still be here today. And that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? It's clear to me that it's just clear as day, and that's all it is. So, um, you know, like I said, like people just spend years trying to outrun death. They try to ignore it, bargain with it, but eventually everybody hears the voice. That's it. Everybody hears it. But that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy that shit and throw a loud banger until the voice gets too loud and you just can't, you just gotta hear it. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, hey, parlay. That's it. So with that being said, um, I hope you enjoyed the story. And please know that for next story, we're going to be looking into the wonderful question of what kind of person keeps moving forward even after the world keeps trying to break them. So keep that in mind. You know what I mean? I can kind of piggyback on this story a little bit, but hope you enjoyed the story. Hopefully you enjoyed, my commentary and whatnot, my shits and shenanigans. And until next time, take care.